If you're brand new to the SP404-MK2, then it can be a little bit daunting getting to know how this device works, and making beats on this thing can seem like an impossible task at first. So in this video, I thought I'd share 5 beginner tips which are going to really help you to get much better on this device. It's really going to accelerate how quickly you can learn and use this device to make beats. And this will give you a big advantage over everyone else that hasn't seen this video, because I'm someone that's been through this process before, and now I've got to a level where I feel I'm pretty proficient with making beats with this device. So I hope that these tips can help you, and hopefully you will be a better beat maker on the SP404-MK2 after watching this video. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to mention is make sure you're on the latest version of the software for the SP device. Now, believe it or not, I still get messages on my social channels about people not using the latest software version, even though 3.0 dropped a couple of weeks ago, or maybe even up to a month ago now. I can't really remember off the top of my head. And that was a pretty hefty update. There was a lot of new features, and those sort of things now, when you're watching tutorials, they're going to be getting mentioned. And if you go to your device and then find that you can't find them, then that could be the reason. It's because you're not on the latest version. So these versions are coming thick and fast from Roland, and when it's a round number especially, they're big updates. So there's a lot of new features coming that help with workflow, and they're going to help you to make beats easier as well. So it's definitely important that you're on the latest version. So the way you can check this is if you go over to your SP device, if you go to Shift and 13, which is utility, so press the Shift button here, 13 down at the bottom. That's just a little shortcut. Go to System, which is the first one. You use the value wheel here, and you can see here I've already scrolled all the way across, but whatever menu you're on, scroll all the way to the right, and you can see here it says version. This is going to tell you what software version your SP is on. So you can see mine is on 3.0. Not sure what those other letters are afterwards, but I got this before 3.0 was available to the public, so I could get familiar with it. Check that, make sure you're on 3.0 as of this video. If you're watching this in the future, go to the Roland website and check what the latest software version is, and make sure that's installed on your machine. If you don't know how to do that, I've got a video about that. I'll leave a link to that in the top corner. I don't know which one it is from here, but whatever corner it is, I'll leave a link to that, and you can check that out and get your SP updated. Really, really important to make sure you're on the latest version, I think. Okay, the second tip, and this is something I actually mentioned in my previous video, this is going to make beat making for you a lot easier. If you've got some spare time, say on a Sunday morning when you've had a few beers the night before, or you come home from a long day at work and you just want to chill out and spend some time doing something that doesn't involve too much mental thought, then this is a really good time to start collecting sounds to make beats with. Now, what this is going to do in the long run is help you build up a resource of sounds and samples and drums, and when it comes to making beats, it's going to be a lot easier to do it because you've got everything there at your disposal. So on the SP404-MK2, unlike its predecessor, the SP404-SX, that kind of used the SD card for all internal storage, but now the Mark II has its own internal storage and the SD card slot. So what you can do with the SD card slot is just fill it full of sounds that can be used on your beats. So go to Shift and 14, import from SD card, and sample, and as you can see here, I've just got drum loops, horns, interviews, various drum packs, my SPVIDZ drum packs, which you can get on SPVIDZ.com. Nice plug there. And yeah, basically what I'm doing is slowly building up a massive resource of sounds and samples. Then when I come to make a beat, and if I need anything at all, say I need a horn stab to layer over the top, I just know that I have to dig into my SD card to get it. I don't have to go running around all over the internet trying to find one, or onto YouTube or into my online sample libraries. I can just go to the SD card, pick a sound which works, and put it to my beat. So as a beginner, it sounds like this is kind of waste of time, but it actually sets you up really well for making lots of beats. I've been doing this recently to really, really good effect, and I've found that it just helps the workflow so much. So if you haven't started doing this, I recommend starting this as early as you can and just really look after those samples, maybe even back them up onto a drive, onto a USB stick. Just keep building that library, and eventually you'll find that making beats is going to get easier and easier when you've got all those resources to hand. So I think that's a really, really big tip. I talked about that a little bit more in my previous video, and to be honest, I think I actually explained it a lot better in this one, but you can go ahead and watch that if you want to as well. Okay, the third thing, and this is one that I find a lot of people don't seem to do or really want to do, and I understand why, and that is to learn the device inside and out, or as close to as you can. Now, I know this is a really tedious thing to do. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy to sit down and learn all the features and everything of this device because there's just so much going on. But what this is going to do in the long run is set you up really, really nicely to be an SP beat maker. So if you can sit down, learn the features, learn exactly what this device can do and how to do it, it doesn't matter about the level of your beat making at that point. What this is going to do is when your level of beat making increases, you're going to have the knowledge to be able to use the features really quickly, really easily, and you're going to be able to absolutely smash beats out, no problem whatsoever. So once you've learned the sort of side of beat making, which is the actual beat making itself and how to put samples together and those kinds of things, the next best thing you can do is learn to be a master of your device. Now, my tutorials are really going to help you out with this, so don't be afraid to dig in my archive and look at all my SP404 Mark II tutorials and tricks and tips. And yeah, just get familiar with the device. Maybe if you've got some spare time, just look in the online manual and see if there's a feature that you didn't know about and learn about it and see what it does. Most of the features in this device are aimed at helping you to make beats. So the more of them that you know, the more of them that you're familiar with, then the easier it's going to be to make beats. Okay, tip number 4, and I think when you're a beginner, one thing that's really hard is to stay motivated. Now, I understand this fully. I even go through this now, having to come up with new YouTube ideas all the time for this device, that sitting at one device for a long period of time and trying to learn it and trying to get better at it can be really frustrating and annoying. So one of the best pieces of advice I think now is to stay motivated as much as you can when you're just starting out. Listen to all the beat makers that you like listening to, use that to keep yourself inspired. Watch all the YouTube channels that are now putting out SP content. There's so many of them now. Don't know where they got that idea from, right guys? But there's a lot of channels now putting out content about the SP and on a fairly regular basis. So have a look around YouTube and see what people are doing. Keep your mood up and your motivation up, and that's going to help push you through that initial step of learning the SP, because it can be a little bit tedious, but hopefully that motivation can keep you going. Okay, the 5th and final tip. Now, this sounds like a bit of a cliche, but I think it is really important when you're learning, and that is that you've got to enjoy doing it. So on an SP, if you find that you're trying to learn a lot of stuff and you find it frustrating and you're not really enjoying it, then maybe just take a step away, try something else, maybe go for a run, a walk, do some exercise, do something else creative, maybe play an instrument, do some drawing, that kind of thing. Take your mind completely off it, and then maybe when you come back to it again with a bit more of a positive attitude and a sort of hunger to want to learn, then that is going to really help you to push through that initial stage, as we've been talking about, of being a beginner, and really push yourself to the next level. I think that is one of the really hard things about learning anything, is that initial point where things don't really make sense and you're struggling to get the results that the device is aimed at. Then that's when it can be really, really difficult. And that's when it's sometimes a good time to take a step back and just let your brain absorb all that stuff that's going into it and let it categorize it in your brain. And then when you come back to it, you never know. If you come back with a positive attitude, then maybe those things will start to click a little bit easier. Maybe you'll find it a bit easier to use the functions, etc., etc. So I know this is a bit of a cliche and I know it's a bit of an annoying one, but I think it is really important to enjoy it, because you are going to have to invest some sort of time learning this device, at least just learning how to use it. And on top of that, if you're a beginner beat maker as well, not just an SP user, you're also going to be putting time and energy and effort into learning how to actually make beats as well. This is just a companion for making beats. This is just a tool for doing the thing that you want to do. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of late nights with this device, but I've absolutely loved getting to know it. I love learning about the new features and integrating them into my workflows, and I just love sitting down and just making beat after beat. You have to have that kind of passion, I think, to push you through those initial stages. Then once you know the device, it becomes so much easier and even more fun and rewarding to make beats. So it's well worth investing that time. Yeah, just stay positive and hopefully everything comes together and you become a better beat maker a lot faster than the people that haven't watched this video. Leave a comment below if you're just starting out on the SP journey. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'll see you all again in an upload very soon.